Ever just stop and think about how much your words, like, shape everything around you?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like your whole personality gets kind of squeezed down into what people hear you say.
Yeah, and we all know that feeling, right? What you mean to send isn't always what actually gets received.
Exactly. And that's why getting better at communicating isn't just, about sounding smart. It's fundamental. It's the bedrock for success in your relationships, your job, pretty much everywhere.
Definitely. In today's world, being able to communicate clearly, confidently, it's like a superpower, really. It accelerates everything, whether you're trying to get ahead at work, build deeper connections, or honestly just feel like people get you. How you express yourself is just paramount.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We've pulled together some really great insights.
Yeah,
from a couple of YouTube conversations. First, we're going to look at the practical stuff from Jefferson Fisher. He's a trial lawyer, and he shared some brilliant tips with Mel Robbins on communicate with confidence.
Ah, okay. Trial lawyer perspective. That should be interesting.
Right. And then we'll switch gears a bit and explore some key career advice from Allison Woodbrooks. She's a professor at Harvard Business School talking on the most important career advice.
Okay, so two really strong sources. Our goal here, I think, is pretty simple. We want to pull out the core strategies, those real aha moments from both of them.
Yep.
Give you, the listener, a clear path to becoming, more articulate, more confident, maybe more persuasive.
And get takeaways you can use, like right away, to hit your goals, build better relationships.
Without getting totally bogged down in theory, actionable stuff.
All right, let's dive in with Jefferson Fisher. One of his big ideas right at the start is this concept. Your communication is how the world experiences you. What you say basically defines who you are to others. And like we said, what you intended, often not what lands.
That's such a critical place to start because we often just assume our intentions are clear, don't we? But it's always a two-way thing. Fisher really hammers home that saying what you need to say fully and directly without kind of holding back, that builds more respect, more admiration.
And more confidence in yourself too, right?
Exactly.
It's a self-assurance.
Yeah, think about a time you felt, misunderstood after a chat or wished you'd just said it more clearly. It happens to everyone.
Oh, for sure.
And Fisher has a really encouraging message here, especially if you lean towards being introverted or maybe a bit shy. He says becoming a better communicator isn't about talking the most.
No, it's not about quantity at all.
It's about the intention, the clarity behind the words.
Precisely. And his background, being a trial lawyer, that gives his advice a certain weight, doesn't it?
It really does.
He's honed these skills in really high-stakes environments, courtrooms, tense negotiations. So it's advice that's been tested,
Yeah.
It's real-world effective, not just ideas.
Okay, so let's get into one of his really insightful takes, arguments. He says, forget winning.
Arguments aren't battles to win. They're like knots to unravel. That's the core idea. Seeing disagreements differently.
It's a really profound shift, isn't it? Instead of going in thinking, I need to win this, you think, okay, how do we untangle this mess together?
Yeah.
He uses this analogy like different radio frequencies. You might be broadcasting super clearly on your channel, but the other person, they're tuned somewhere else entirely.
You're just not connecting.
Right. Miscommunication central.
And this is so key. Instead of just repeating your point louder, the game-changing question, especially when things get heated, is, what did you hear?
Yes, that simple question, it flips the whole thing. It shifts the focus from your perspective to theirs, helps bridge that gap.
And he also points out how the word why can immediately put people on the defensive.
Oh, big time. Why did you do that? Your back just goes up, doesn't it? You start justifying yourself.
Right, you're explaining, not actually understanding the impact. So instead of those why questions that feel like an attack,
he suggests using what questions?
Exactly, like what was going through your head when that happened, or what made you say that?
It sparks curiosity, right? It invites them to share their view without feeling judged, turns potential judgment into genuine inquiry.
Yeah, it feels less like an interrogation and more like trying to understand.
It can completely de-escalate things and build a bit of empathy. Really powerful shift.
Now, okay, difficult conversations, bad news, tricky topics. We often think we need to wrap it in cotton wool, right? Soft pedal it.
Yeah, the instinct is to cushion the blow.
But Fisher kind of challenges that. He argues for directness, but, and this is key, delivered with kindness, the core idea is that being direct shows respect for the other person's resilience.
Right. He says that being upfront, maybe even saying something like, look, I'm telling you this directly because I know you can handle it, actually empowers them.
It shows respect for their emotional strength.
Exactly. It's not about being harsh, it's about being honest.
He even warns against that classic sandwich approach. You know, the good news, good news thing.
Oh yeah, the feedback sandwich.
He suggests it can feel kind of fake, disingenuous. Might even dilute the main message you need to get across.
The trick is finding that balance. Direct, yes, but also kind. And it's not one size fits all, is it?
No.
How you're direct with a kid is different from how you talk to a colleague, but the core principle, honesty, stays the same.
And he makes this really crucial point. Avoiding the truth, dancing around the issue. That can actually be crueler in the long run.
Yeah, it erodes trust, doesn't it? Prevents you from actually solving the problem.
Being direct, even when it's hard, signals you trust them to face it with you. Build stronger foundations.
Absolutely. Honesty and mutual respect. That's the goal.
Okay, so be direct, be kind. Got it. Now, Fisher introduces this other really interesting strategy for setting the stage for a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
He says you should tell the person how you want the conversation to end and get their agreement on that right at the start.
Ah, setting the frame. Interesting.
The core insight is basically get control and clarity by defining the finish line before you even start running.
That's proactive. It brings focus right away, sets expectations, gives the whole thing a purpose.
Yeah, he gives examples like maybe you need to address something someone said. You could start with, hey, I want to talk about that comment from earlier, and my goal is that we can move past it and not plug it up again. Sound okay?
Right. You're stating the desired outcome. Or maybe for a project meeting, my aim for this discussion is to make sure everyone's ideas get heard before we decide. Can we agree on that?
Getting that yes up front, it creates a framework.
Yeah.
It's so different from those meetings that just drift.
Oh, totally. The ones where you leave wondering what the point was.
Exactly. This cuts through the vagueness, make sure you're both aiming for the same target.
Yeah, setting that clear intention for the end makes the whole conversation more focused, more productive, keeps you on track.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about those interactions with people you just don't click with or find really difficult?
Ah, the tricky personalities. Yes.
Fisher has some very down-to-earth advice here. The core idea seems to be stay neutral, stick to facts, and always remember how your behavior looks to others.
That's key. You don't have to be best friends with everyone, but how you handle those interactions reflects on you. He has that great quote, something like, don't argue with a fool because people watching won't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, that's a good one. So the strategy is keep your cool, stick to what actually happened, don't get drawn into negativity or mudslinging.
Right. People notice how you treat everyone, even the challenging ones.
And if someone makes a belittling comment, he has this specific tactic.
The repetition one.
Yeah, make them say it again. Apparently it takes the wind out of their sails, forces them to actually hear it, disrupts their expectation of getting a rise out of you.
It's quite disarming. And then he suggests following up by asking about their intent.
Did you say that to hurt me?
Yeah, puts the focus back on them, and their choice of words can be surprisingly effective.
And for dealing with outright disrespect.
His advice is silence first. Don't just react. Take a beat.
Give yourself a moment to think.
Exactly. Then a statement like, that comment is below my standard for a response. Simple, direct, sets a clear boundary.
Powerful. And what if you see someone else being disrespectful?
Don't jump in and join them. Make it clear that's not your style. You might even need to gently but firmly set a boundary with them about their behavior.
Right. Stand apart from it. Maintain your own integrity.
That's it. It sends a clear message about your values.
This next one feels really valuable, especially in conflicts. Fisher talks about separating the person from the problem.
Ah, objectifying the issue. Yeah.
Instead of blaming, you kind of make the problem this external thing you can look at together. The core insight. Foster collaboration by treating the problem as a shared challenge, not a personal attack.
It's a subtle language shift, but it can completely change the dynamic, can't it?
Totally. So instead of your room is a disaster,
Yeah.
it's more like,
Okay, the room isn't clean right now. What should we do about it?
that use of we is
Yeah.
huge. It shifts it from you versus me to us tackling this thing together.
Focus on needs, on solutions, not just pointing fingers.
Yeah, it makes it less personal, less defensive, more likely to get people working with you instead of against you. Builds that teamwork vibe.
Creates a much more constructive environment.
Okay, now what about folks who get anxious about speaking? Social anxiety, nerves before presenting. Fisher has thoughts on this too.
Yeah, practical strategies again.
The core insight seems to be about managing that anxiety through breath, conciseness, and focusing on quality over quantity in interactions.
He talks about the power of just taking a breath, that simple act. When you're anxious, that breath can be like your first word. Create space.
Lets you center yourself.
Exactly. He also points out that anxious speakers often tend to over-explain, right?
Oh yeah, they ramble trying to cover all bases.
They kind of water down their message. He contrasts that with being succinct, direct, often saying less actually has more impact.
Less is more. And in social situations like parties or networking,
Instead of flitting around trying to talk to everyone superficially,
which can be exhausting and anxiety-inducing,
he suggests focusing on having one good quality conversation with one person. Less pressure, more genuine connection.
makes sense? And for breaking the ice. He has a neat idea.
Instead of the usual stuff.
Yeah, ask questions about the future, about what someone's excited about. Not just, how are you, but maybe, what's something you're really looking forward to right now?
Oh, I like that. Shifts the energy, doesn't it? Focuses on positive anticipation. Creates a more upbeat start than just talking about the weather or how tired you are.
Speaking of how are you, he even reframes that, says it's an opportunity.
Not just a throwaway question.
Yeah. Instead of just saying fine or complaining, he suggests sharing something you're looking forward to. The insight.
Yeah.
Elevate daily chat by sharing future hopes, not just current states.
Again, injecting that positive, forward-looking energy makes the interaction more engaging.
And if you don't want to share much when asked, how are you? He has a clever workaround.
The weather analogy.
Yeah. Describe your feeling like the weather a bit cloudy today or feeling pretty sunny. Communicates the vibe without oversharing.
That's neat. He also warns against oversharing in general, right? Says it often comes from needing to feel believed.
But can actually make you seem less credible or knowledgeable.
His advice is to aim to be a well, not a waterfall.
I love that analogy. Offer depth and value when needed. Don't just gush information endlessly.
Quality over quantity again. Thoughtful contribution, not just noise.
Okay, final point from Fisher for now. Standing your ground. Holding your own in conversations.
Important skill.
He emphasizes slowing down. Don't feel rushed to answer immediately. The core insight. Project confidence by pausing, thinking first, and knowing your goals and values for the conversation.
Taking that pause gives you control. Respond intentionally, don't just react. And he stresses knowing your objective, what do you actually want to achieve in this specific conversation?
Which leads to his ideas about conversational goals, the outcome you want, and conversational values.
Yeah, the principles guiding how you communicate. He shares some of his own, right?
He does. Like, if I can't be a bridge, be a lighthouse. Meaning, if you can't connect, at least provide clarity.
Or, if there's room for kindness, I will use it.
And tell them who I am without telling them my name. Meaning, let your actions and words speak for your character.
These values act like a compass, don't they? They guide how you respond, especially when things get tough. Keep you anchored.
Okay, now let's bring in Professor Alison Woodbrooks alongside Fisher. Let's talk about the power of intention.
Being deliberate, yes.
It's about consciously deciding. How do I want people to perceive me in this interaction? What impact do I want to make? The core insight. Actively shape your impact by knowing your desired perception.
It really starts with self-awareness. Professor Woodbrooks has this great technique. Before you walk into a room, ask yourself, what do I want people saying about me after I leave?
And then tailor your behavior to match that.
Exactly. Align your actions with that desired outcome.
It's recognizing that your words, your energy, they all create an experience for others. Fisher even suggests asking people you trust.
Hey, what impression do my words usually give you? Who do my words say I am?
Getting that real feedback, it can be eye-opening, right? See if your intention matches your impact.
Invaluable insights. Helps you calibrate.
Okay, shifting to the workplace now. Both experts have some key advice here, Fisher says. Go into conversations wanting to learn, not wanting to prove.
Curiosity over conquest. Yes.
He argues that genuine curiosity builds much stronger professional relationships. The core insight is really about fostering connection by prioritizing learning.
And he also mentions using words that convey authority, like direction, for instance. Here's the direction I suggest we take.
Right, guides the conversation professionally. Now, Professor Woodbrooks' research, it really highlights how critical communication is for your career.
Hugely important. Her findings basically show that the biggest factor in getting promoted or paid more isn't just working hard.
It's communicating effectively and making sure your contributions are known. That's the core insight. Your career trajectory depends heavily on communicating your value.
She also busts that myth about needing to be super tough in negotiations.
Yeah,
The best negotiators, she says, are actually great at building relationships and understanding what the other side truly needs. It's not about being rigid.
that makes sense. And she gives this really practical advice. Ask your boss directly.
What specifically?
Ask them, what do you value most? How can I add more value to the team? What makes someone irreplaceable in your eyes? The core insight. Align your work with your boss's needs by asking them directly.
That's so proactive. It shifts the dynamic from just guessing or trying to persuade to genuinely understanding and collaborating, making sure you're focusing on what matters most to them.
Building on that, Professor Woodbrooks really stresses, don't assume people know what you're working on.
You have to tell them. Visibility requires communication. That's the core takeaway here.
She strongly recommends keeping a running list, like a log, of your accomplishments and contributions.
So you have the evidence, tangible proof of your impact.
And then, a really simple tactic. Send your boss a short weekly email,
What's in it?
just a summary. Here's what I achieved this week. Here are my priorities for next week. Quick, clear, keeps them in the loop.
Smart. And she also suggests if you solve a tricky problem or finish a big project, maybe send a wider email.
To relevant folks, yeah.
Yeah.
Increases visibility, shows initiative.
Okay, let's talk networking. Professor Woodbrooks has a clear perspective here too. It's not about just collecting contacts or promoting yourself.
No, it's about building real relationships
Yeah.
based on genuine curiosity, understanding what other people need, the core insight. Good networking is about giving value, not just taking.
So before an event, maybe do a little homework. See who's going. Think about how you might be able to help them or what you could learn from them.
Makes the interactions more purposeful, right?
Definitely. And if you're feeling maybe a bit intimidated, like you're not qualified enough, she emphasizes just asking good questions, showing sincere interest in what others do. That's valuable in itself.
And she also recommends prioritizing like actual conversations in person or on the phone over just relying on LinkedIn messages.
Build stronger connections.
So in those first chats, she advises focusing on learning about them. What are they working on? What challenges are they facing? What do they love about their job? The core idea, focus initial networking chats on the other person.
It takes the pressure off selling yourself and puts the focus on building rapport, genuine connection.
And after you've made a connection, follow-up is crucial.
Can't just let it drop. Professor Woodbrooks says prompt follow-up makes the whole thing meaningful. The core insight. Make networking count by following up quickly and personally.
Even just a quick text or email saying, great chatting with you, maybe mentioning something specific you discussed,
Shows you were listening, shows you're interested, makes a difference.
or even a quick callback about a specific point, reinforces that connection.
Okay, that common interview question. Tell me about yourself. Professor Woodbrooks offers a fantastic framework for this.
Oh, this is gold. The core insight. Structure your answer by sharing 2 professional and 2 personal highlights. Makes you seem prepared and well-rounded.
So you literally say, okay, I'll tell you 2 things about my professional life and 2 things about my personal life.
Exactly. It immediately signals you're organized, articulate.
And it gives you a structure too, right? Especially if you get nervous and tend to ramble in interviews. Provides guardrails.
Totally. Okay, speaking of nerves, Professor Woodbrooks has this amazing reframe based on her research.
The anxiety reframe.
Yes. Instead of fighting anxiety and trying to calm down, which she says is often physiologically tough.
Because your body is already in that high arousal state.
Right, she says. Label the feeling as excitement, the core insight. Reframe anxiety as excitement to boost performance by focusing on potential positives.
Explain that a bit more. Anxiety is high arousal linked to uncertainty, maybe feeling out of control. Trying to force calmness often doesn't work.
So instead, you channel that energy. You mentally shift focus from what could go wrong to what are the positive possibilities here.
So feeling those butterflies before a presentation, instead of, oh no, I'm so nervous, you tell yourself.
Okay, I'm excited. This is an opportunity to share my ideas.
And this isn't just mind games. She says it actually improves performance. You're focusing on the task, not fighting your physical sensations.
Powerful stuff. And her final tip for interviews: how to end a final interview.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Express sincere gratitude, thank them for their time, for the chance to learn about the role, the company, the core insight, and interviews with genuine gratitude for a positive final impression.
Leaves a good taste, right? Shows professionalism, respect, regardless of the outcome.
So, wrapping all this up, what's the single biggest takeaway from all these insights? Professor Woodbrooks really nails it, I think.
What did she say?
Don't aim for perfection. Don't focus on just proving yourself. Instead, focus on connection. Understand and meet the needs of others. That's the core idea.
Connection over perfection. I like that. It shifts the focus outward.
And this applies directly to negotiation, too. She says, change how you see it.
Not as a battle to win.
No. See it as prioritizing the other person's needs. The core insight for negotiation. Focus on understanding and addressing their needs first.
Because the more you give them what they genuinely need,
Yeah.
the more likely they are to help you get what you need. It's about mutual benefit, driven by understanding.
Wow. So across the board, both Fisher and Woodbrooks are really pointing to this powerful truth, aren't they?
Yeah.
That you really do have the power to shape your life, your relationships, your career through how you choose to communicate. Intentionally, effectively.
Absolutely. Their combined wisdom really boils down to a few key things. Listen to understand, not just to reply.
Be direct, but always with kindness and empathy.
Be deliberate about your words. Know your intention.
And reframe challenges. See nerves not as a threat, but maybe as excitement and opportunity.
Professor Woodbrooks uses that lovely metaphor. Conversations as light bulbs on a string. Right. Each interaction is a chance to add a little light, to brighten things up.
So maybe that's the final thought for you, the listener. Think about your next conversation, whether it's at work or at home. How can you make that conversation light bulb glow just a little bit brighter?
Take one insight from this deep dive. Maybe it's asking, what did you hear? Or reframing nerves, or just being more intentional and try it out. See what happens.
Because you really can create positive change, connection, understanding, just through the power of your words.